That's right, folks. Don't try this at home.
We're what you call experts.
On this episode of Mythbusters.
Apparently, a ping pong ball can kill you.
Yep, duck, cover, and dance to tackle a duo of deadly ballistic mysteries.
What the f***? Nothing's making any sense.
The team engages in an arms race
It's just a classroom.
of incredible ingenuity. First, in a world record-breaking attempt,
This has never been done before.
Wow!
It's scary.
Jamie and Adamas will ping pong make a mortal mark.
Go! That was an ever-loving smack of a bang.
Then, Cary, Grant, and Tori feel the force
I am your father.
in a Star War. Will an ice cannon
One.
really blow the daft invaders away?
A lot of drama here on the set of Mythbusters.
Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
and Jamie Heineman.
Bye-bye.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Together with Brad Imahara,
Crazy!
Carrie Byron,
I'm from Iowa.
and Tori Belleci.
It's about to get real.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, Adam and Jamie tackle the tall tale that ping pong can go lethally wrong.
Really? A ping pong ball can kill you.
That's the myth.
There's no way it has enough mass to actually penetrate anything.
18-0. But what if the ball was going really, really fast?
Enough already!
It's an interesting physical conundrum. Can such a delicate object with so little mass achieve ballistic lethality? Is it possible to fire plastic ping pong balls fast enough to result in mortal damage?
So if you're thinking an itty-bitty ping pong ball can kill you, what's your plan?
Well, force equals mass times acceleration.
Ah, I see. So what this lacks in mass, you're hoping to make up for in speed. How fast do you think it'll go?
A lot. I'm thinking supersonic.
I love it. Where should we start?
Human power?
Go down, bat a few of these around, and see how fast we can make them go?
Yep.
Sounds great.
As the Mythbusters know,
That's pretty serious.
speed kills.
Oh!
The greater an object's acceleration, the more force on impact.
I'm going to cook this now.
And before the guys attempt to mechanically ramp it up to supersonic, the minimum that Jamie thinks is required for a lethal hit, our less than professional players have given the manual speed test everything they've got.
So, Jamie was able to rocket the ball off his paddle at 68 miles an hour. I was able to do it at 75 miles per hour. Neither of those speeds anywhere close to lethal. But I have an idea for getting it to go a bit faster. Perfect. I'm gonna build it.
Their hands-on technique obviously failed to fuel a fatal force. So Adam puts together an air pressure-powered ping pong pop gun.
Here's how this works. This is what I call a breech-loading pop gun. Here's the breech. There's the ammo. Seal it up. Pressurize from here. Open it up. Point it in the direction you want to hit with a ping pong ball. Release with this high-pressure valve. And Bob's your uncle. What does Bob's your uncle mean? Well, it means hopefully that we've gotten the ping pong ball to an impossibly large speed.
And with the pressure pumped to the max the pop gun can handle, a modest,
95 PSI in 3.
we're about to find out.
140 miles per hour. Nice for a little device like that. There we go.
It's not lethal, though. We've got a long ways to go before we get to that point.
Yep, as Brody would say, they're gonna need a bigger barrel.
Our paddles got the ping pong balls to about 70 miles an hour. My little shooter here, up to 140. Wait a second, editors, can you give me a nice shotgun sound effect for this? Much better. Got the ping pong ball up to 140 miles an hour at 100 PSI. What? You know, for years, Jamie's gonna be like, ah, crap, there's another damn ping pong ball in the rafters. Jamie's, in my experience, PSI is not the deciding factor for acceleration in an air cannon. It's barrel length. So I think what we need to do is build another one of these with a really, really long barrel.
Up next, an age-old, ice-cold ballistics mystery from history.
Well, I hope you guys packed your thermals, because this myth comes from the depths of winter in medieval Russia. Now, there was a town, it was under siege, and they didn't have anything to defend themselves with. So they improvised a cannon and cannonballs out of the one thing they had plenty of: ice.
Really? Just ice?
Yes, ice, possibly some materials to strengthen it, but the history books say it was a viable defensive weapon.
Well, the good news is if there's another ice age and the zombie apocalypse happens, we'll have something to fight them off with.
Oh, it's really good to be prepared for everything.
I'm always prepared.
Supposedly, in the ultimate test of backs-to-the-wall improvised ingenuity, the Cossacks crafted a cannon out of the most unlikely material imaginable: frozen water.
All right, now you remember a million years ago when we first started on the show, we tested ice bullets. And as soon as we shot the rifle, the bullet turned to gases.
Which is exactly why I think that before we go and build a full-size ice cannon, we should start by testing the cannonballs.
Right, because if the cannonballs can't hold together, then the myth is already busted.
Exactly. So why don't we do this? Let's make some ice cannonballs. We'll fire them out of a real cannon and take it from there.
Good, I like it.
The team's previous failure firing frozen H2O ammo
It just can't be done. You're gonna end up with vaporized water.
means the opening salvo in this Siberian siege story will be the weakest link: the projectiles themselves.
We've done a lot of research to see if we could find any sort of historical information on the specs of the ice cannonballs. Now, we've found that they may have been reinforced with fibers such as hemp, wood, and paper pulp. So while Tori and I work on the supplemented cannonballs, Grant's gonna work on the clear ice ones. What is going on back there?
So, using natural materials for structurally stronger alternatives,
Sawdust.
the team makes 4 types of frozen cannonballs:
Yeah, this is gonna be one strong cannonball.
pure ice,
Perfect.
and ice plus hemp,
Ice ball with hemp in it.
sawdust, and paper.
Whoa, that is awesome. Look at how perfect that is.
With their projectiles prepped, it's off to a suitably explosive location.
All right, let's bring out the cannon.
All right.
We've come out to Angel's Camp, where we have a long history of blowing up cement trucks, unleashing fireworks men into the world, and firing off a cannon. Whoa! That's what we're gonna do again. There she is. Harry Webb has brought out Old Moses so that we can test each recipe for our ice cannonballs and see which one can withstand the blast of a real cannon.
We're going to be firing our cannonballs with increasingly larger amounts of black powder to see if they can withstand the pressure.
We're starting with pure ice cannonballs and 8 ounces of black powder, the minimum amount we can use in the cannon.
Don't worry, comrade. They are only shooting ice. How bad could that hurt? We'll use it to chill our vodka.
We've set up our grid to collect some data on speed and also added a target.
Hey, come on, let's go dance into battle.
So it's all go for test 1.
We're loaded.
Loaded! Yay!
A pure ice cannonball and half a pound of black powder with a potential muzzle energy of 20,000 joules.
Eyes and ears.
Surely it doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell of surviving,
Firing. 3,
let alone doing any damage to our dancing dummy.
1. That was awesome.
That looked like a very successful hit.
That looks like we hit the bad guy.
Knocked him down.
I am totally shocked. Not only did the pure ice cannonball come out completely intact, but it was traveling 1,000 feet per second, or 680 miles an hour. That means if we aim our cannon just a little bit up, we can travel an incredible distance.
It is an incredible result. The mighty power of Old Moses couldn't part the frozen water. It stayed intact and hit the target at a lethal 680 miles per hour.
Sorry, my friend. I guess we underestimated the ice.
And such an impressive result means the myth can proceed in its purest form, without supplementary materials. The question is, how fast can pure H2O go?
We're going to go up to 1.5 pounds of black powder,
The powder burrito grande.
which is the most that this cannon can handle. Let's see what happens.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah!
Old Moses supplies the biggest boom he can handle. And with the top speed topping out at an astonishing 1,550 miles per hour, the ice has exceeded all expectations.
Look, this is a totally unexpected result. I mean, none of us ever thought that a pure ice cannonball could survive being shot out of a cannon.
Especially since we had tested the ice bullet way back when, and every time we shot that bullet, the ice just turned into water vapors. So I figured that's what was gonna happen with the ice cannonball.
but he didn't. So we've got our cannonball. Now he needs a cannon.
Coming up is bigger. Wow. Really better.
That's big.
Welcome back. Jamie the Paddle says, we've effectively been attempting to weaponize the 1/10 of an ounce ping pong ball and make it lethal. So we started out smacking them with rackets as hard as we can and came up with about 75 miles per hour off the racket. So I built this little baby right here. And at 90 PSI, we were able to shoot ping pong balls from this at 140 miles per hour. Still not really lethal. But continuing along this theme, we figure if we make something that's a little bigger,
My little pop gun.
say 20 times as big, we might get some real results.
So, in an attempt to do some deadly damage, Adam and Jamie are going to extreme lengths.
It's coming along nicely.
80 feet to be exact. And exactly why? Well, a Heineman walks into a bar and says,
So why the long barrel? Well, as long as the pressure behind the ball is greater than the pressure in front of the ball's going to continue to accelerate.
Perfect.
And so the longer the barrel we have, the more time the ball will have to do that, and the faster it'll be going when it comes out the far end.
There's the target.
and with a pop gun pressurized to the max the shop air can supply,
Okay, that's 140 PSI.
it's time to load
These are some professional grade ping pong balls.
and lock
Close the breech.
and let rip.
Range is hot.
Firing. 3, 2, 1.
I just see a hole at the other end.
Wow,
That is far out.
that's a fast little ping pong ball.
Wow. Well, our 80-foot-long barrel sent this ping pong ball through an inch-thick piece of honeycomb cardboard, which in and of itself was not that incredible a feat, but it left a visible mark on 3/4-inch plywood. That is something more than I expected.
It certainly banged up the backboard. But what about the crunch numbers?
453 miles per hour.
That's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
So we got this ball going 453 miles per hour. That's really fast, but I have to say, I don't think it's lethal. Based on what I'm seeing with this ball, it might break a rib, it might give you a really nasty bruise, but it's not going to kill you.
So to make a mortal mark, they're going to need more speed, more momentum, and a step into the unknown.
This has never been done before. It's scary.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are testing the ultimate in backs-to-the-wall ballistics ingenuity. Hey! And so far,
Don't worry, comrade.
it's all go on the fro blow.
Sorry, my friend, I guess we underestimated the ice.
The team has the balls, now to build the barrel.
Now, what I have here is a giant cardboard tube. Everybody okay? Now, this is how we're gonna make our ice cannon. This is the mold that we're gonna fill up with water and let it freeze so we can make our cannon. So I'm gonna build a couple of different sizes. And we're gonna see which one is the strongest to withstand the exploding black powder.
Yep, when it comes to cannons, size really does matter. The breech, that is the explosive chamber at the base of the barrel, has to contain and channel the energy of the black powder blast. So to find the optimal dimension, Tori is building 3 breeches with 4, 6, and 8-inch walls and diameters of 12, 16, and 20 inches. Too thin, and it'll explode. Too thick, and the mass becomes structurally prohibitive to move around.
All right, so now that the tubes are filled up with water, we just need to let them freeze and then we'll have our breeches.
And 1 week later, the ice-cold cannons are ready for a refrigerated trip to the bomb range.
This is gonna be fun.
So we now know that half a pound of black powder is enough to propel our ice cannonball at 680 miles per hour, which should give us enough range and enough damage to be a viable weapon. Now what we need to do is work on the breech. God, it would suck if this thing fell. We have a 4-inch wall, a 6-inch wall, and an 8-inch wall. We'll put our half pound of black powder in there and see which one of these, if any, is able to survive the kinds of forces that are generated in a cannon.
First up is the 20-inch breech with 8-inch walls.
Don't let go.
Oh my God!
Where surviving the half-pound black powder blast may not be the only issue.
I gotta tell you, I can see some problems with working with ice.
Yeah, I don't know how these guys would have been able to actually maneuver an ice cannon.
Mass is a big concern. The larger it is, the harder it'll be to build, move, and manipulate. Plus, even in the deepest midwinter,
Loading the charge now.
due to the insulating properties of ice, freezing large amounts of water takes a long time.
All right, we're set. Let's go to the bunker.
meaning the smallest breach that can contain the blast will be the best option. So, with the black powder loaded and no projectile, which barrel will survive?
All right, this is 20-inch diameter breach in 3, 2, 1.
Well, we just figured out a way to make hail instantly.
Giant snow cone.
Now, that did not go according to plan.
That's not gonna work.
That is the thickest wall we have. Right now, it is not looking good for the myth. But you know what? Maybe we're using too much black powder. Maybe we need to find the perfect amount of black powder to launch the cannonball and not destroy our cannon.
So, with a few more freshly frozen 20-inch breaches, the team decides a little less boom is required and not more ice.
Now, the reason that we're going with less gunpowder rather than thicker ice is twofold. See, what tends to happen with ice is that the outer layer insulates the inner layer, so the core never really freezes solid. The second reason is that when you get to ridiculous sized ice, it becomes unwieldy, therefore ineffective as a weapon. So we'll get out our 20-inch breaches, voila, lower the gunpowder, and see if we can get a speed that is potentially deadly.
They're scaling down the black powder from 8 to a mere 1.25 ounces. If the 20-inch breach can't handle this,
All right, our cannon is hot.
the myth is surely busted.
In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I think it did it. It worked. We shut the plug out without blowing up the breach.
It was a somewhat less than big boom, but it's a start.
Our breach hasn't exploded. It's still intact, which means it's reusable. We're gonna keep going. 1.75's next.
All right, ice breach locked and loaded. Let's do this.
And 3, 2, 1.
Now that was more impressive. But can a brand new breach contain 2 ounces?
2 ounces. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh. All right, looks like that was too much. I guess 1 3/4 ounces, that's the perfect amount.
Yeah, 2's just a bit too much. So, we've got the ball, we've got the amount of black powder, we've got the size of the breach. You know what that means? That means it's time to build a full-size cannon and go for it.
Later,
Okay, wait. Ooh.
the game of moans
Nothing's making any sense.
continues.
One.
Adam and Jamie have a supersized ping-pong pop gun, and they're not afraid to use it. But while shooting aesthetically pleasing objects at 450 miles an hour is impressive, they've determined the resulting destruction is less than lethal. So, what next?
It might break a rib, but it's not going to kill you.
Well, Adam has chanced upon a cutting-edge resource called the, internet.
It's amazing. It turns out that physics teachers have been getting incredible acceleration out of ping pong balls without using 80-foot-long barrels. And I think it's a method that we should investigate immediately. Okay, cool. It's working all right. What they've been doing is they've been taking a 36-inch long tube of PVC, and they've been putting a ping pong ball in one end. Then they put packing tape over each end of the tube, and they use a vacuum to draw a full vacuum in that tube.
Okay.
Here we go, pulling the vacuum. Then, when they pierce that side, of course, air wants to rush in to fill the vacuum, but the ping pong ball's in the way. So it starts to move forward. Just everyone back off a little bit. There's nothing in its way in terms of air because there's a vacuum. And so it bursts out of this side at something over 300 miles per hour.
That's the theory.
Here we go. Whoa! Holy Oh man, that was really good. I didn't expect it to work that well.
The 3-foot prototype worked scarily well. Popping the sealed vacuum caused a sudden influx of air, and the pressure differential sends the ball rocketing. And after a few technique tweaks
One.
and a doubled barrel length,
One.
Adam measures rocketing at
375 miles an hour. That is mighty respectable.
respectable enough to be the new ping-pong projectile power of choice.
Well, the vacuum trick for launching a ping pong ball out of a short length of tubing is working gangbusters. I actually got 375 miles an hour on a ping pong ball out of this measly 6-foot tube. That is awesome, and this is where I'm going to concentrate my energy to get the fastest ping pong ball possible. All right, we're ready?
Based on the theory that bigger barrels are better,
It's taking a little longer to pump this out.
Yeah.
the guys have rigged the vacuum pump to their enormous 80-footer. There's plenty of nerves,
This has never been done before. It's scary.
high expectations,
Here's a world first.
and energy waiting to fulfill its potential.
Ping pong bazooka in 3, 2, 1.
But it's an unexpected and disappointing dud.
That's no good.
Here's our ping pong ball. That wall is where we want the ping pong ball to be embedded in. 1.
Something's not working.
But it's reaching close to the end of our tube and then somehow bouncing back a little. Well, not somehow. See, air rushes in this tube behind the ping pong ball. There's vacuum in front of it, but that air sneaks past the ping pong ball, and it looks like it's providing a cushion that's actually causing it to spring back once it reaches the end. So it's not attaining enough speed or momentum to bust out.
1.
Nope. Didn't make it. It tells me that we made this tube too long.
Yep, that cushion of air decelerates the ball to the point that it doesn't have the force to pop the packing tape. So, as Brody wouldn't say, they need a shorter barrel. Question is, how short?
We're going to use the high-speed camera to find out where the ping pong ball is no longer accelerating. Then we're going to cut the barrel there and hope that that works. All right, speed test. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Several tests, and sums later,
1.
they find the ball maxes out 30 feet along the barrel at an astonishing velocity.
8:29. We're well past Mach 1 here.
So a quick reset at the requisite length,
Boy, was that tough.
and the guys are expecting
Let's do it.
the ball to bust out of the packing tape at over 800 miles per hour.
1.
That would be a supersonic ping pong ball.
Sounded fast, but who knows what that meant.
What it means is
275 miles per hour. We're getting less out of a 30-foot barrel than I was out of a 6-foot barrel.
Yeah.
a frustrating miscalculation.
What the It's only coming out of the barrel at 192 miles per hour.
The shorter barrel means the ball is now accelerating enough that it can burst free, but the air cushion is still an issue.
Even though we're seeing speeds upward of 800 miles per hour inside the tube, by the time the ball leaves the end of the tube, it's been decelerated to well under 200 miles an hour. And that's not lethal.
Yep, so far this myth is misfiring.
Failure is apparently the only option.
Back at Big Boom HQ,
Look out, people! We have an ice cannon! Ice cannon! Ice cannon!
it's time to get down to business.
Cannon goes here. We've come back to Angel's Camp to do the final experiment in our ice cannon myth. 100 feet. Now, so far, it's been very surprising. We learned that ice cannonballs actually stay intact and can go the distance. Right here, 150 yards. Let's set up our target. Now, we're gonna find out if an ice cannon
Time to deploy the army.
can shoot an ice cannonball. It's time to go to war.
So this sets up the criteria for our myth. Number 1, the ice cannon has to have sufficient range, meaning that it has to fire about 150 yards. Number 2, it has to cause significant damage.
This is a family show. This isn't quite from a family store. I might have to do a little bit of censoring.
And number 3, it has to be reusable. One time only doesn't work.
That's better.
If the ice cannon meets all 3 of these criteria, then we can call this myth plausible.
What is that they're wheeling out?
What they're wheeling out is a full-size cannon with a 5-foot-long, 20-inch diameter barrel. It's a fantastic feat of frozen engineering.
Whoa! Yes, it is! We're coming out!
But during the cannon's tricky transition from vertical in the truck
Whatever you do, don't break it.
Shut up!
to horizontal on the carriage,
Okay, wait. Ooh.
it's apparent how tough this test is going to be.
One of the major challenges of the ice cannon is the fact that the one we made is 600 pounds. Ice is really, really heavy. We're lodged. It won't go up. I have to bring the whole thing up.
A lot of drama here on the set of Mythbusters.
So actually having to move it from the freezer onto a truck, off the truck, to here.
Stop! No, don't stop. Keep going. Okay.
Get that tube off of the ice cannon and put it on the carriage without cracking or crushing it.
Okay.
It's insane.
Ah! Now, let's get it on the carriage.
I just want to see this thing work once. I hope we can.
The extreme mass, coupled with the lack of structural integrity,
What the hell are we doing?
This is nuts.
is an obvious downfall of the building material.
Woo!
But once in position and prepped,
Beautiful.
Electric match here.
it truly is a sight to behold.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's an ice cannon.
And whether it works or not,
Look at that beauty. Don't stand in front.
the backs-to-the-wall ingenuity is to be celebrated.
All right, we're wired and hot.
What this really is about is innovation, improvised weaponry, taking what you have to make something completely dangerous and totally cool. Or maybe a little dangerous. We'll see.
Remember, do not try anything you are about to see at home. In our quest to make the innocent 2.7 gram ping pong ball lethal, I came across a technique online using a vacuum chamber. Here we go. That got us amazing speeds on this bench of 375 miles per hour. Holy! So we thought, let's just add some more barrel. 1.
That's no good.
So far, that has yielded pretty much bupkis for us. What the Nothing's making any sense. But I have, in researching this technique further online, come across a modification to it that might just give us what we're looking for, and I'm about to build it. It involves a choke.
With this new piece of tech, Adam's bringing a little rocket science to the ping pong party. And to understand what it is and if it works, Adam's first testing a short barrel prototype.
Part of this rig is very familiar, but the addition of the choke. Oh, kidding. After I pull a vacuum, I'll put this on here, thus making this a sealed pressure chamber behind the barrel. Vacuumizing. When I feel like I've got a full vacuum, I then hook shop air pressure up into this, and the extra 40 to 60 to 80 PSI that comes out of here will burst this piece of tape, sending everything going, supposedly, much, much faster. I really hope this works. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, whoa. Wow!
The blast of pressurized air popped the vacuum and added extra energy to the equation. But just how much?
779 miles per hour. Mama. That's what I'm talking about.
What Adam's talking about is that after all their hard work, they have a ping pong ball faster than the speed of sound. That's quicker than this and this. So where next from here?
So this is now a working proof of concept. We found out about this technology of adding a choke, like rocket science. Rocket science uses a choke to make jets and rockets work, and we put it here with some pressure behind it, and we got 779 miles per hour. So now, we're gonna go to a bigger location.
And what a location.
Don't you wish this could be our shop?
Boy, do I.
Here at fabulous Fort Mason, Adam and Jamie will definitively answer the question, how fast can a table tennis ball fly?
One down.
And then test its lethality by supersizing their prototype ping pong pop gun barrel.
That's the last one.
And the pressurized choke chamber. Back in the shop, they've used less than 100 PSI to pop the packing tape vacuum. Now, they're ramping it up to 500.
Ready?
Ish.
And they want to deliver that massive blast
I hope you don't break my arm.
fast.
I think that was pretty good.
I think that was pretty good.
And with the big beast hooked up and ready for action, here's how it's going to go down.
The setup out here should be pretty familiar to anyone who's been watching thus far, except for the fact that the barrel's 150 feet long. Behind our vacuum tube, of course, is our pressure chamber, and pressured to 500 pounds per square inch of pressure. The whole business is activated by this lever, which we will set off with
This.
And so, with the air evacuated from the barrel and the choke ready to charge, Jamie steps up to the plate.
Here we go, 500 PSI, 150-foot long barrel in 3, 2, 1, do it! It is like a magic trick here. I was looking at the ping pong ball, and then it just wasn't there. Do it! It wasn't even like I had a sensation of it moving. It just whisked out of existence.
Which bodes well ballistically until the evidence is found.
There's very little of the ping pong ball left.
And then examined on the high speed.
It's not even left the barrel, and it's totally shattered.
That's a bit of a problem.
The problem being they need the full weight of an aerodynamic, intact ball for maximum mortal damage.
The good news is it was going at a speed of 1,086 miles per hour.
That's pretty fast.
That is pretty fast. Even though our ping pong ball was going at Mach 1.4, which is amazing, I can't say that that was successful because it wasn't a ping pong ball when it left the barrel. So we're gonna cut this barrel at 20 feet. We're gonna lower the overall pressure. Here we go. 20-foot barrel, 300 PSI, semi-slow release. We're not sure what's gonna happen. 3, whatever does ought to really help inform us about what's going on. 2, So here we go. 1, go. That was an ever-loving smack of a bang. That was a hell of a bang, and that ball is rolling.
The ball is intact.
Wow. Intact and insane. Confirmed on the high speed at a world record 1,100 miles an hour, the delicate 2.7-gram ping pong ball is traveling twice as fast as a jumbo jet. As fast as a speeding bullet.
Now we are talking. We went from a 150-foot barrel to a 20-foot barrel with 300 PSI behind it. Now it's time to find out if the 1,100 miles per hour we got out of the end of that barrel, I think we're ready. It's, in fact, lethal. Lethal balls. That's what we're looking for.
Adam and Jamie are about to test the lethality of their supersonic balls. But before that, they want to shoot Jamie's lucky bat.
It has no idea what's in store for it. Totally knows what's in store for it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Holy Batman.
There's your problem.
That is a beautiful, beautiful object.
That is an 1,100 mile per hour ping pong ball, ladies and gentlemen.
But is it lethal? In the depths of an 18th century Siberian winter, a desperate, siege-bound army used their imagination and their most abundant resource and came up with a working ice cannon. It's been 300 years since this majestic MacGyver-like solution has supposedly worked. Will it take out the fearsome foam army? It's the moment of truth.
All right, this is Ice Cannon, final experiment.
In 3, 2, 1.
The cannon is still intact!
So far, so good. With a muzzle velocity of 200 miles an hour, the cannonball easily covered the 150 yards to the target zone.
Look at this. This is the ice cannonball. This is awesome. We took our first shot and we reached 2 of the parameters. 1, we made the distance, and our cannon is still in good condition. We can take another shot.
We just didn't get the damage that we were looking for, but for something that hasn't been done in 300 years, it's pretty good.
Not just pretty good. The team successfully fired a cannon made of water. But according to their strict criteria, it's not yet successful.
Well, I know the cannonball made it all the way to the guys, but I'm hoping this time it actually does some damage.
So when you're talking about the damage that a cannonball can cause, you're talking about kinetic energy. Kinetic energy depends on 2 things, mass and velocity. Now, the mass is determined by the ball itself. So if we want more kinetic energy, what we need to do is increase the velocity. Now, under normal circumstances, all you need to do is add more black powder and it comes out faster. But the more black powder we put in, the greater risk of destroying the cannon itself before we get a lethal shot.
So with the same amount of black powder and a tweaked trajectory,
We are hot.
will the ice-cold cannon this time be an ice-cold killer?
This is the ice cannon. In 3, 2, 1.
The answer is no. Although the ball more than covered the distance, sailing over the heads of the targets, this myth is on the rocks.
I like this. I'm going to start crushing my ice this way.
Mixing fire and ice was never likely to be a dangerous cocktail. But given the severe limitations of the material, it was an incredible effort of ingenuity.
This is the myth that was almost plausible so many times. It was looking so good in the beginning. We started out with our ice cannonballs. Fired out of a real cannon at high speed. And we went to the breaches and we found a breach size that would hold a reasonable amount of black powder. We put the whole thing together, built a full-size cannon, brought it out here to face our army. And it was, again, looking very promising. But unfortunately, on the one that would have caused the most damage, which is the one that sailed over the army's heads and hit the wall, that's the one where the cannon itself exploded. And for this myth to be plausible, we have to have damage and range and reusability all in one, and that just never happened.
So, unfortunately, I think we have to bust this one. And I'm not happy about it.
Table tennis, one of the fastest ball sports on the planet. But surely it can never be fast enough to be fatal.
So it all comes down to this. A ping pong ball going 1,100 miles per hour.
Go.
versus flesh. Which one's gonna win? We're about to find out.
For our lethality test, today's human analog will be played by a pork shoulder, otherwise known as a pork butt, because pork has 4 shoulders, and 2 of them are butts. It's true, look it up.
Question is, will the world record-breaking ball bounce harmlessly off the butt or penetrate with lethal force?
Time to turn some potential energy into some actual energy. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Short barrel, 300 PSI, lethality test with a pork butt in 3, 2, 1, go.
That was a blast. Literally. But how did our porcine pal fare?
All right, let's look at the damage.
Ooh.
Dude, there's like flesh trauma going down 1.5 inches into here.
That's impressive.
I must admit, if you'd asked me beforehand, I would have told you that I thought the ping pong ball was going to bounce right off of the pig. I thought the mass of the 2 objects was such that the ball really wouldn't do that much damage. I'm shocked by how much damage it did.
Now that thing actually penetrated. That's ping pong ball shaped.
That is a shocker.
That would hurt.
But I think we still need to call that this is a non-lethal hit. It did not penetrate all the way through the flesh or leave some gaping wound, and barring some lucky hit, that is not a deadly hit. This is a substantial flesh wound, but it ain't lethal.
Yep, despite the extreme air pressure and a supersonic ball making a pig fly, the impact did not mortally harm the hound.
So, final verdict, a Mach 1.4 ping pong ball might just be the fastest ping pong ball in history.
Extremely dangerous, but not lethal.
Not lethal at all. The myth is busted.
Busted it is.
Let's get out of here.